A family fairy tale that's part dream and part nightmare? Let's talk about the new indie film Esme My Love. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch Your Pass. I'm here to talk to you about Esme My Love, a new kind of, I don't know, thriller, drama, somewhat horror movie that's coming to digital and on demand on June 2nd, 2023. It is an interesting tale. You might be wondering why I have this spade in my picture. Well, you know what? It relates to the film, I promise, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But overall, it is just a kind of beautiful, dramatic, heartfelt story about a mother and a daughter and some of the sins and horrors that a family can have. It is a very good film. It is a very beautiful film. I really, really enjoyed it. My hot take is, look, I think you should watch it. It has some, I don't know, I guess story issues, maybe there's things I didn't understand, but overall, it is a beautiful dark fairy tale about a family connecting to their past and the horrors that might dwell in there. It has beautiful cinematography, it has beautiful music, it has really good performances by essentially the only two actors in this film, the two leads. It is just an interesting movie and definitely one you can tell a lot of love went into. So I'm going to tell you a little more about the film. A few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, go into the ending. And as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't want to know what happens, then I would turn it off. But before that, I'll keep it vague and I will let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Esme My Love, you have two main characters. You've got Hannah, who is the mom, and you've got Esme, who's the daughter. They are on a road trip going to, I guess, Hannah's, well, I guess, and Esme's family farm, a farm that Hannah, I guess, grew up in and used to live in. They haven't been there in years, and she is taking Esme to the farm to finally show her this area, show her where she grew up, and show her some of the things that she used to love to do. Now, during this time, there's also mention of Hannah's sister, Emily, who she tells Esme that they're going to meet. They're going to go out to the family farm. They're going to meet Emily. They're going to kind of like reconnect with her. And so it starts to get a little weird when they take detours and they don't make it to certain places, and Hannah starts acting a little stranger, and it all kind of builds and builds as this beautiful family trip turns more and more sinister. So things I liked about this film, the first, I love the camera work in this movie. It is just kind of like a treat for the eyes. It's something that I really, really connect with. I really love. It has a lot of just like bold nature shots. It has a lot of like really beautiful scenery. It has a lot of like long tracking shots showing the area, showing like the wilderness and kind of the rundown nature of a lot of these places. And also there's a lot of shots that focus on kind of the natural order of things, like the, you know, animals in the area, the water. It reminds me a lot of another movie I absolutely love for the cinematography, a movie called Carmilla, which came out in like 2019. It is another interesting movie that has just beautiful, beautiful cinematography and a really good focus on nature. And it just draws you in from the start. You are instantly kind of connected to this journey and want to know more about what is happening. The second thing I really loved is the music. The music is phenomenal. It, again, just like the cinematography, it is kind of beautiful, haunting. It really kind of straddles this interesting line between being dreamlike and also a little sinister, because sometimes it's wondrous and sometimes it, you know, makes you concerned about what's going to happen. And it doesn't change that much during that time. It just has this really nice, beautiful soundtrack that helps you connect with like the journey and the cinematography that happens. And it really does heighten your mood when things are beautiful and also when things are sinister. And it has a mix of like, not really chanting, but just kind of like beautiful, I don't know, chorus music, and then also beautiful like guitar music. And then when things do get sinister, there are certain like horror kind of elements that happen, like I think I'm gonna say the wrong word, but like a cacophony of strings, like, you know, disjointed music, things like that, that really let you know that something bad is gonna happen. And so the music, like the cinematography, plays a crucial role in this overall story. And the last thing I loved are the performances. This, like I said, this film only has two main actors. It's got Audrey Grace Marshall, who plays Esme, and Stacey Weckstein, who plays Hannah. And that's it. Those are the only two people in this film. So they have to have very strong performances to keep you engaged, keep you interested. And they do. Stacey Weckstein does a really good job as the mother, who starts to kind of like slip in and out of being the mother. Like she clearly has something else going on. And Audrey Grace Marshall does a really good job as Esme, and portraying the things that Esme might be going through as her mother kind of slips more and more into this like strange state that she's in. So things I didn't love as much about this film, and I say didn't love, these are, I'm kind of neutral on these because there are reasons that I did like about them, but these are the things that kind of, I don't know, I noticed during the film and things that I didn't love as much. The first, it's really slow to develop. Like I expected this to be a horror movie, and it has horror elements, but you don't get anything kind of, I don't know, unsettling until maybe about 30 to 40 minutes into the film. It takes a while to get there. And it never really pushes into, I guess, the horror realm. There are horror aspects of it, but nothing that gets like truly into horror. But that being said, it does take a really long time to get there. And again, I thought this was a mixed bag because it really gives you time to connect to the characters. It really gives you time to like live in their journey. But it does feel like there is a good amount of like, I don't know, wasted time here. It feels like they could have cut a little bit to make it a tighter experience. So again, like I said, it's a mixed bag. I did enjoy the slow pace at times, but I did feel like there that some of that pace could have been shortened in places. And the second thing I didn't love as much is the ending is it's not super satisfying. It doesn't answer a lot of the questions. I think it's supposed to kind of be a little ambiguous, kind of leave the viewer wondering what happened, but it also introduces a lot of ideas in the film and doesn't really kind of wrap them up at the end. So I will give my take on the ending when I get to the ending section. But for me, it is still kind of something I'm a little confused about and something that kind of didn't really tie up very well. So that being said, I really love this film. I think it's a beautiful film. I think it's just a wonderful treat. And it's an impressive overall endeavor to make a film that is like this high quality, this engaging, with a very small group, like a small cast, a small, I assume, overall budget. It didn't seem like there was a ton of money in this movie. So I am just in awe of what they did. And that is Esme My Love. It comes to digital and on demand on June 2nd, 2023. So I'm going to go into the ending now. If you don't want to know what happened to this film, I would turn it off now. But if you want to hear my thoughts, you want to hear what I think kind of happened in this movie, then I guess, you know what, let's keep going. So, like I said, Hannah and Esme are going to visit Hannah's like family farm growing up. And she also mentioned to Esme that they're going to meet Emily, which was her sister. They're finally going to like reconnect with her. What Hannah doesn't tell Esme, but you kind of hear through some of the context clues and things that are happening, is that Emily died when she was very young. It seems like she died of like a disease that is part of this family, maybe a specific family condition. I don't really know what the disease is, but basically, Hannah and some of the like writings tell you that Emily, like when she died, like her eyes become milky white and blood pours out of all of her pores, and it's a pretty horrible way to die. So that's not good for, Emily or for Esme, who was hoping to meet Emily. And that makes this whole trip a little strange. Now, once this trip kind of gets going, Hannah gets a little bit, I don't know, off. She keeps switching back and forth between like a mother and then more of like a kid type role. It seems like she reverts back to being a kid when she's out here, because at some points she'll be like, the mother for Esme, and other times she'll want to play with her. She'll want to like dig. She gets this really into this whole thing about digging. Like digging is in her family. That's why I have the spade, because early on they find a spade and they start digging for things in this family farm, trying to find, I don't know, relics of her family, aspects of her past that are around. One thing they find is they find like a milk bottle cap from her family's farm. They find, a doll at some point. And overall, Hannah becomes kind of like obsessed with digging for things, digging for her past, like digging into this earth to try to find things from her past. She keeps saying like the past doesn't die, the past doesn't go away. It's like just waiting to be found. And so that kind of becomes what Hannah is about. She becomes less and less of a motherly figure. Like she doesn't, take care of Esme as much. She's more and more like obsessed with digging. Now, Esme also has her own little quirks. Like is she from the start calls Hannah by her first name. She goes back and forth. Sometimes she'll say mom, sometimes she'll say Hannah. But most of it, she is just kind of confused about what's going on, confused about what's happening to her mother, and confused about some of the things that she's seeing. Now, both of the main characters see something that appears to not be there, like sees like a spirit, essentially. Hannah will occasionally see what we assume is Emily. It's a girl that looks just like Esme, but in, like a white dress, kind of like an angel, an angelic kind of figure. She will see her off in the distance, and occasionally she'll try to like get her to come to her. But Emily always seems to be a little bit out of the distance. She doesn't ever approach Hannah, and despite what Hannah does, one time she has this knife, and I think she's worried that Emily is afraid of that, so she throws it in the lake. Other times she tries to like pursue Emily, but she never really catches her. Now, on the flip side, you've got Esme, who is seeing this kind of like twisted version of her mother. It's like Hannah, but her eyes are covered up with skin, her mouth is covered up with skin. She's dirty, she's a little more feral, kind of like I don't know, not similar-ish to a clicker from The Last of Us, not in like the fully grotesque warped way, but in that she can't really see, she can only like hear, and she is pursuing Esme when she can. So you've got these two kind of like alternate characters that come in and out of the film throughout. Now eventually Hannah starts taking like more and more steps to make sure that they stay in the forest. She wastes, she like is not careful with her food. She trashes their car at some point. She like takes the car and like rolls down the hill. It seems like she really wants to stay here and really kind of reconnect with Emily, with her sister that died when she was young. And it seems like part of it is also trying to get Esme to like stay with her. It's not like super sinister. She doesn't like try to kill Esme, but she definitely like wants to stay here, wants Esme to like help her find Emily, and really wants to like connect to her sister. At one point she digs a big hole where she thinks Emily is, and according to her, she finds Emily. You see like a little bone in that hole. And then she just kind of like lays down there and stays there for a very long time. Esme is not very happy about this. Esme wants to leave. She wants to go home. She keeps saying she wants to go home. But Hannah like refuses to listen. She just kind of stays there. And Hannah seems to think that Emily is still kind of speaking to her. She always kind of like, she sometimes talks to Emily when, off in the distance, and Esme can't like see or interact with her. She sometimes like will treat Esme as Emily, and back and forth. So what I think is happening here is that I think the mom is like reverting back to her childlike state when she and Emily were both alive together. And so that's why she, becomes a little bit more careless. That's why she doesn't like help take care of Esme as much. That's why she's obsessed with digging. And that's also partly why she like just becomes a little more aloof. Now, for Esme, I think I don't really know, but I feel like she might be essentially like a reincarnated version of Emily, because she apparently looks exactly like Emily. She does some things, like I said, they're a little bit weird. She calls Hannah Hannah all the time, which would be something that like a peer would do or a sibling would do, but not something that a daughter would normally do. So she goes back and forth between Hannah and mom. And so I feel like Hannah is becoming more childlike, but Esme is becoming, I guess, more and more like Emily here. She's reconnecting with that side, but it also feels like maybe the characters can see what the other people's true forms are. Maybe that's why they can only see these strange versions. So like Esme can see this like twisted version of her mom who like is racked with guilt over Emily and like constantly looking for Emily to try to reconnect. And Hannah sees this like beautiful angelic child that is Emily, maybe when she looks at Esme, or maybe when she like sees through Esme. So eventually Hannah becomes a little more frenzied. She keeps digging, and she eventually like I said, finds Emily. So she tries to get Esme to come down into the pit, and Esme doesn't want to do this. And Hannah lunges at Esme, and Esme like avoids her, and Hannah eventually falls down in the pit. You think that maybe she's like really hurt, but when you look over, she's not hurt. She is just down there, and she says that she like found Emily. She finds a bone that she says is Emily. So Hannah, I guess, is finally reconnected with Emily. Esme seems to not want to do any of this, and so she takes like all the items that she found from Emily. There's a book that she found with notes in there. There was like a doll. There's some things that have been gathered from Emily, and she burns them. I think she wants to kind of be rid of her past, and Hannah seems to want to reconnect with the past. After this, Esme goes and like gets Hannah out of the pit. She kind of carries her up. They sleep in this tent, and there's this really beautiful scene because like in this scene, Esme is like bathed in light and Hannah is bathed in shadow. Even though they're in the same tent, they like the way that the camera works, you've got Emily bathed in light, or you got Esme bathed in light and Hannah bathed in shadow. And during this time, the alternate entities kind of approach in the tent, and they kind of go over the sleeping people, and then they kind of like merge back in. So the twisted monster version merges into Hannah, like it kind of like absorbs into her, and the Emily character absorbs into Esme. They both kind of gasp. So after this happens, Esme looks over at her mom and she sees like the twisted monster version of her. But it could be a dream because nothing happens, but like the mom is like looking at her and like yells like Esme or Emily, one of those. They look similar. There's no sound, so you can't hear what happens. And then that's it. And then the next morning, Esme is kind of like watching over her mom. She's like taking care of her. I wasn't sure if she's like dead or alive, but you see the mom's eyes twitching. So I think she's still alive. It would have been interesting if she was dead, because that would have been like a, I don't know, more closure in this film. But I think she's just asleep. Esme then like goes and washes herself off. She's very dirty from this whole ordeal. So she kind of like washes herself off. I think she's metaphorically like cleaning the past off of her. She gets rid of this bandage that she had. And after this, we see like all these scenes from the journey, from like this endeavor. We see like the cat, we see like the family house, we see a jar of peaches that they ate early and got food poisoning, we see the car, we see the lake, we see all these different scenes about this whole endeavor. And I think this is like all the memories that Esme has, and maybe also the memories that Emily has. Like they're kind of like merging now. And then at the final scene, we see Esme taking like the pack that her mother had, like this bright orange backpack, hiking it up, and then just like walking down the road by herself. There's no mother there. So, and she just like kind of walks down the road as this beautiful, beautiful music plays. So I think maybe her mother either died or her mother just wanted to like stay there, didn't want to leave. Like she fully reverted to a child and like didn't want to ever leave. And Esme, who's finally like merged with Emily, like wants to leave. Emily has been in this place for a very long time, and Esme always wanted to leave. She didn't want to stay there. And so maybe now she's finally able to go on her own. Is that going to be good? I don't know. She's a child, but I guess at least she escaped and she didn't get seriously hurt. So she walks down the highway. There's this beautiful, beautiful music that plays, and Esme kind of like fades from view as she walks down this highway. So that is Esme My Love. Like I said, it is a beautiful, beautiful film. It has a lot of very interesting ideas. I don't think they quite came together in the end, or maybe I just didn't understand it, but I definitely think it's something you should check out. It is just a very interesting film and a really kind of great accomplishment for this overall crew. So it's coming to digital on demand on June 2nd, 2023. So definitely check it out when you can. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.